Well, hello, good people, once again. This is a Garmin Nuvi 44. Obviously, an older model. Well, it's becoming increasingly common that more people simply do not have a PC, or even a Mac for that matter, but they have a phone. As a matter of fact, I'm using a phone to record this right now. And it brings up the question, can you update one of these things using just a phone? Yes. The process is a little bit what we call convoluted, but it's doable. So I'm going to show some stuff right here. Okay, first of all right, memory card. This thing is inside an SD adapter. And what I mean by that, trying to get the card out here. Okay, so you've got this itty bitty micro SD card inside the SD adapter, and it looks like this. And this is the size that you should get is 30. Let me see if I can get that in view better. Come on, folks. There we go. 32 gig. Why 32? Because that is the maximum size this will recognize. Plenty of room for maps. And when it goes into the regular SD adapter, it just goes in like that. And the connectors here are what connect to the slot. So, okay, what do you need in order to get the maps from the phone on the card and then the card into here? Because on the back of this thing is a little tiny micro SD slot, and it's in the open, and you just click it, either press it in or click it in. This one in particular is a press in. It doesn't go in all the way, it goes in mostly all the way, and there's no click. Some models have a spring, and it goes click click like that. This one in particular does not, and that's okay. So what do we need to get data onto this? Well, you have a port on your phone for charging, but you can also plug other things into it to put data on storage devices. So you'll need first something like this. This is a USB to go adapter. All right. And yes, I will have this one linked. Something like this, which goes into this, like that. And then that goes into the phone. And then, I told you this is convoluted. And then you put the card in the side, like this. Yeah. Or, and I'm going to show this. There's this tiny little slot right here where I could, if I wanted to, and I will, and I'll show you right now, put the card in the side like that. Either way will work. I actually prefer using the full-size SD card way, because these tiny little slots on these cheap adapters can sometimes damage the contacts on the micro SD card. Yeah, you don't want to really mess with those. And what I mean by that is you don't want to scratch them up, because this thing is not exactly made with the best build quality. I could have bought a more expensive one, but I didn't because I am cheap. Therefore, I will use the SD with the bigger contacts, and if this thing decides to break later, well, that's no big deal, because I can just get myself another SD adapter, and again, it goes in here. Oh, one little note. All right, and I gotta really, because a lot of people don't know about this with SD adapters. You see that white switch right there? That's a lock switch. If it is up, that means it is unlocked. If it is down, because that does move. If it is down, you can still remove the card, but you can't write anything to the card. So that is a write protect is what that is. So you want to make sure it is in, let me just slide this back up. It's not exactly easy either. So now it is back in the up position. When you're holding this and the memory card is down, you want that to be up, like that. And the way you can tell is look for the little cutout right here, which they all have. Looks like that. Okay. So to continue. Okay, I plug this in, and I plug this guy in. Hold on. Okay. So now I've got this convoluted thing right here. But it will work. So I plug that in. Now this one happens to be a that's not USB-C because this is an older one, but the one you have will probably be USB-C, and plug that into the phone. And then you bring up your file manager, and when you go to format one of these cards, I believe, at least on Android phones, you can format and it will default to a FAT32. It should. At least on my phone, it does. I'm using a Galaxy phone, and it does format the FAT32. Okay. Hopefully, it will not format to EXFAT. I don't believe it will. Should be okay. That's the only thing I really can't advise on, because I don't know how to specify the file format with an Android file manager. I don't know how to say, okay, do FAT32, but don't do EXFAT. I don't know how to do that. If you know how to do that, please feel free to comment below, because I don't. By default, it should format this to FAT32. And then after that, okay, what you do is that once you format the card, and make sure you're formatting the right card. Just make sure you're doing that. Now, I can't really show that because file managers are different across phones. Samsung's file manager is different from LG's file manager, is different from some third-party file manager. I don't know the specifics of that because they're so different between phones and apps. But just make sure you're formatting the right thing. Assuming you have formatted the right thing, and then after that you create a folder called Garmin, Garmin, and then what you do is go to, using my website as an example, sat103.com, you can download the gmap sup1.img and gmap supp.img, and then put that onto the memory card in the Garmin folder you created. And then comes something which is a little bit of a pain in the backside, which is you have to do a safe disconnect. I know how to do this on my phone. Again, this is something where it depends on the phone that you have. I wish I could give more clear directions, but I really can't. Because again, file managers differ, phones differ. Depends if you're using iOS or Android, I'm not sure. But assuming you got that far, you should be, actually, before I say this, you should be able to look up either on YouTube or elsewhere how to safe disconnect something from your phone. They'll say, oh yeah, just go here, 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 and it will say unmounted, because that's what you want. You want to unmount this thing, and I don't mean physically unmount, as in a software version of unmount. It says unmounted. And then, okay, now I can take this out. And then finally, at that point, you have this convoluted thing, and you take it out, and then you take this out, and then finally, you can put it into the back of this thing and turn it on, and then you will get your maps on this thing. OpenStreetMap. If you used mine, there would be OpenStreetMap based. So that is a way. And again, I'm sorry I couldn't be more detailed about this with more screenshots and whatnot. But again, it differs from phone to phone to phone. an app to app for file managers, so I'm not sure. Again, anyone that watches this, if you have specific recommendations or directions for this, and I don't mean driving directions, I mean computer direction, phone directions, to say, okay, yeah, make sure you do this, this, and this. Please feel free to comment below, because there are people that need all the help they can get with this stuff, especially for those that do not have a PC or a Apple computer. If all you've got is the phone, then you have to go this route. Oh yeah, and final note, yeah, I will have this linked to eBay, so you can look at these things. There are a bunch of them in various sizes and whatnot. What you're looking for is just something, let me just focus on that. Yeah, you want the SD and the micro SD, and obviously you want a USB 3.0 speed. This is just a card reader. This is all this is. You might be able to find one that does not have the A connector on it, and it has the C connector on it. You can look at that, so you don't have to mess with this thing separately. You could have this just as the C and go right in, and then put in your card, copy what you need to, and then you are good to go there. But what you have to remember more than anything else, specifically for the Garmin, is that you do have to stay in 32 gig land. You have to. Don't use a 64. It won't work. Anything over 32 is the maximum. You cannot go past this, because this will not recognize it, because you will notice, even though this says SDXC, this in fact, because I don't think I've said this on video before, I'll get real tight so you can see it. See if I can focus on that. Come on. Yeah. See right under, oh, come on, do it. Come on. It is being it really doesn't want to focus on this. Okay. You see under micro SD on the right side of the card, it says HC. Now, the HC standard has 32 gig maximum. When you go above 32, that's XC. This thing will not recognize XC or greater. Now, true, this says XC on it. That just means it can read it. But it will also read, all the way back to original SD spec. So you have SD, and then you have SDHC, and then the one after that, XC. And I don't know which one is after that, but anyway, the point is that this does not recognize XCs. It will do HC, I think, only? No, it will recognize original SD, but you have a 2 gigabyte cap, I believe, on the original SD spec. Hold on, I'm just putting everything back together here. So like I said, you may be able to skip this thing and get one, instead of an A connector, have a C connector on it. And then you can plug it in, and then you can format this thing to hopefully FAT32, create a folder called Garmin, put the data image files, that's the map download, on this thing, and then put it in, and it will work. Again, this is very convoluted, but it answers the question, well, can you update this with no computer, meaning no PC? Could you do it with just the phone? With the right adapter? Yes, you can. So again, I'll have it linked. I'll put it in the description as a pinned comment, because I don't know what adapter you need. And by that, I mean I don't know what card reader you need. You may want one with an A, you may want one with a C. You do have to have SD. Oh, yeah, I should mention that too. When you do buy a 32 gig card, if that's what you need to do, make sure you get one with the adapter if you don't have one. If you already have one, then you're fine. Yeah, because, like, for example, I got two right here. I got a whole pile of them. So they're not specific to memory card. So the adapter, that is. So, you know, an adapter is an adapter is an adapter. Okay. The point is that this thing has to be able to have this thing plug into it so it goes into the phone and reads properly. I'm trying to give as much information as possible here. So if you dare to try to update maps for this thing using just a phone, that is actually doable. So again, I'll have it linked in the description and as the pinned comment. I'm just going to show a search on eBay specifically for card readers. I don't know if I'll do multiple links. Maybe one link will do it. Maybe two. Well, you'll see when it's there in the comment and description. And yep, then you can finally get one of these updated, because it's like I said, again, there are some people that just do not have a PC. All they have is a phone and or a tablet. And it's even more common these days that more people are just, they don't have tablets anymore. It's just phone. It's just phone. Well, if you are in just phone world, go and look up a card reader and make sure it connects, and look to make sure you got either a USB-C or an adapter or whatever you need in order to connect up with one of these guys. Yes, and to end this, again, if anyone has specific comments on this, where you want to give advice on how to do this with a specific file manager or with a specific phone or with a specific app for file managers, says, hey, there's this thing on F-Droid, you should try this. Or, well, if you're using the Samsung file manager, do this. If you want to unmount properly, make sure to do this, this, and that. Anything you want to contribute, believe me, it will help people out. All right, see you later.